Hi everybody, welcome back to us up here at the storage yard today. We're going to be talking about black bits in your toilet flush. Now, if you've ever used your toilet after a period of time and you've noticed black bits coming out of your toilet system, and you've probably wondered to yourself what on earth this is, it's really simple and very straightforward to get rid of. But let me just start off by telling you what it actually is. Well, it's formed from this stuff, your pink toilet chemical. It's an algae which forms on the top of the fluid, and if you leave any of the pink solution in your tank for any period of time, or if you make it too strong, you can form this algae on the top of the fluid, and of course when you pump it through it just breaks up into small pieces. There's nothing unhygienic about it, there's nothing wrong with it, it's just unsightly, but if you leave it over a long period of time it can block up your pump. So how do we get rid of it? Well, it's actually very straightforward, and all we're going to use is this stuff, Milton. Some people say not to use it. We've been doing it for 2.5 years already with no problems at all. I'll show you the steps we take and you'll never have it ever again. So let's go on over to the flush system outside the caravan and I'll show you how we do it. Okay guys, this is incredibly straightforward. Let's just go through the various parts of the outside toilet for you, just so that you understand what's going on. This obviously is our flush system. We fill up our normal fluid here with our pink solution, and here we have the actual main cassette in here, like so. And you'll know of course that there is a hose here, which is the drain down hose from the toilet flush system. So the first step we want to do is make sure that this is drained down. Now I know that this is pretty drained down. Obviously there's little bits coming out here, but this is pretty well drained down because we always drain it down whenever we leave camp. So what we're going to do now is, now that we know that that's drained down, we're going to fill the main tank up with a solution of Milton. We're going to open up our flush tank and I'm going to do 1 cap of Milton. In that goes. And then we're just going to fill it up with clean, fresh water. And there we go. That's now filled up. And now we leave it for a period of 4 hours or so. So we've now filled the tank up with the Milton solution. It is important to also make sure that we run the pump through the system as well. So all we're going to do is open the toilet and run the flush. Okay, so a couple of tips on how we can minimise this in the future. The first thing to do is to make sure we always drain the tank down whenever we leave site. Doesn't matter how full or how empty it is, make sure you always drain down the residual amount in the tank. Also, make sure you run the flush pump, because even with the tank being empty, there'll still be a little bit of fluid left over in the actual pump. So make sure you press the flush and completely empties the system. The second thing is, when you make up the pink solution, make it slightly weaker than what the manufacturer guidelines state. If you make it weaker, it's less likely to make that algae in the future. So we usually make it a lot less strong than it actually needs to be. Also, you don't need to use the pink fluid. Don't think for any second that it is absolutely obligatory. I've seen many people just use plain water, and a couple of guys have actually suggested to me using Zaflora in the flush tank, and that way you never get this problem again. Now thirdly, the pink solution that we're using is today we're using the Thetford one. We've used other manufacturers in the past as well. They all do it. Some are better, some are not so good. They all have this problem, this inherent issue of making this algae. So don't think for any minute that this is something to do with one manufacturer and something not to do with another. They're all the same. They just make it. It's just a chemical byproduct. So there we go. That's it. That's how we do it. Now all I've got to do is just wait a couple more hours and then we'll empty the system out. Okay guys, so 4 hours or so has now passed. What we're going to do now is empty this tank of the Milton solution. We're then going to refill it with cold water, fresh water I should say, back up as well. And it's also important to just run it through the motor in the end as well, just to remove any Milton residue from inside the pump. Once we've refilled it and we've run it through the motor, we'll then empty it down for the last time, leaving the tank completely dry, completely empty. And again, if you feel you need to, just run the last bit of liquid through the pump as well. That way everything is completely dry. This will then stop the algae from reforming, growing back and contaminating your toilet bowl as well. So here we go, we're just going to empty it out again. Now when we throw this away, be slightly respectful of the fact that you're using Milton solution. So don't just throw it across the fields or across the grass. Make sure that you throw it away down a drain responsibly. And don't be surprised if you find little black bits when you're draining this tank down as well. I've just seen a couple of bits popping through the refiller tube here. Right, so that's it now empty. Just close the bung in the pipe. I'm going to go dispose of this down the drain, and then we're going to refill the system with cold water. Okay, and then for the last time, filling up the tank with fresh water. And this just ensures that we remove any residue of the Milton from the tank. And then in a minute I'm going to run it through the pump as well. Okay, good. Just going to nip inside now, run it through the pump, and then we're going to empty the tank out completely. Right, and there we go, that's it. It's as simple as that. We do this periodically once every 3 months or so, especially when we're using the toilet often. That just makes sure that we do keep the tank nice and clean. If it does still to be a problem with your tank, try filling the tank up halfway up with water and the Milton solution before you leave site, then drive home. That agitation motion and it moving around whilst you're travelling down the road will help, so you know that may be enough to loosen it up. In a lot of cases, if it's really, really bad, it will block up the motor in your pump, so don't be surprised that if you do have it quite bad, your pump may not be operating to its optimum. Other than that, that's all I've got to share with you today. It works obviously in the caravan, it works in motorhomes as well, and it doesn't matter on your manufacturer or the tank supplier in your caravan. It works with all caravans, all toilet makes and what have you. I've just shown it here on the Thetford C250. And there we go, that's it. Any questions, feel free to pop them below. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go and dry off now because it's still raining. See you next week, guys. Bye.